No, there's no tutorial, but the core of Pit Girl is a program called VoiceAttack that I recommend to anybody, especially if you're in VR. So VoiceAttack is a framework for speech recognition and text-to-speech. If you go to voiceattack.com, I encourage you to download it and play with it. There is a legacy plugin that I started using that's called the Digital Race Engineer. So the Digital Race Engineer used to be a VoiceAttack plugin, but I think it's now a standalone. You might still be able to get the legacy version. I'm not sure. But when we talk to Pit Girl about what's happening in the race and like the cars around and strength of field and those kinds of things, that's all the Digital Race Engineer interaction. And then I did recently put the core of my marker replay system here on GitHub. So there's RobertsmaniaReplay is a VoiceAttack plugin. So it requires that VoiceAttack framework. And that's like a $10 license. I highly recommend. It's totally worth it as far as even if you don't use any of the speech recognition or text-to-speech features, VoiceAttack, especially when you're doing stuff in VR and you're trying to stream and you want to have control over OBS and iRacing and other stuff that's going on, being able to use VoiceAttack to send commands to various programs and stuff like that is super helpful. So I would recommend VoiceAttack no matter what. But my plugin gets installed in VoiceAttack. It monitors the telemetry all the time in the sessions that you're in and builds a data structure with all the marker events that I call. So markers are overtakes, undertakes, incidents, radio broadcasts, the race start, the race finish for each driver. All of that gets aggregated into a data structure of marker events. And then you can replay those marker events. I do it real time while I'm racing with the Pit Girl spectator view and stuff, but most people don't have that. So I also use a controller for my replay interaction. So the plugin that I provide has a profile that has this controller mapping that I encourage you to consider. So even if you're not using my system, just being able to use the controller to control the replay, I think is super helpful. But the profile has all kinds of commands for the cameras, the markers. You can filter by the car, the marker type, all sorts of stuff. The plugin that I provide does do some basic speech where the system acknowledges, like when you change cameras or calls out when it's watching certain situations. But there's profile command parameters that you can set to totally change that. Either make it so it doesn't say anything, or it doesn't do the announcements, or it's pretty configurable. And that's part of the other benefit of VoiceAttack is the commands are totally scriptable, and you can set up your own sequence of interactions and stuff. But the plugin itself has a low-level set of functions that actually integrate with the iRacing SDK. So there's suggested use for how to use it, installation information, and stuff. So if you're interested, I guess that's the closest thing I've got to a tutorial. VoiceAttack, Digital Race Engineer, RobertsmaniaReplay. Those three core pieces should give you a start. But if you have questions or you run into trouble, let me know. I'd be happy to try and help.